Good afternoon, everybody. It is a wonderful afternoon here on the East Coast. Lots of college and pro football to get to today, and Matt's going to join us in just a few minutes. Let's do a little housekeeping. Last night, um, if you listened to our show yesterday, which I'm sure you did, we thought Miami was going to get blown out. They weren't. Miami came and put up um, a really good show. I mean, they took the Bills to the max, and but it wasn't enough. The Bills did win the game, as most of you already know, and it's been interesting to say the least about how Miami played. Such a resilient situation with Tua quarterback, and he's been having trouble. The wide receivers have been dropping the ball, but last night everything seemed to fall right into place. So that, my friends, is going to be um, a fun thing for them. I'm glad that it worked out that way, and we'll see. But yeah, we thought that was going to be a blowout. It wasn't. So there you go. Let's just talk real quick about the baseball pennant races while we, excuse me, we're waiting for Matt to get here. And I got to tell you, baseball wise, this is an exciting weekend. It absolutely is because it's the last weekend of the regular season. And oh, by the way, it is going to be a situation where the excuse me just for a second. There we go. All right, Houston and Seattle are in a dead tie. I mean, they're absolutely even. As a matter of fact, their actual records are even. 84-69 for the Stros, and the M's have an 84-69. So this is the week. This is a week that we find out if Houston and Seattle, who's going to win. Seattle hadn't won that division for a very long time. They seem to have a solid team. They're hot coming into the postseason. And the Astros, I mean, they're not doing badly, but they're also, I mean, here's the stat. Over the last 10 games, Houston is 6-4. Okay. That's usually acceptable. The Marlins, the Mariners, by the way, are plus, they're 9-1. So 9 wins, 1 loss. So that's kind of something a harbinger of things to come. I don't know. But it's going to be tough. Let's talk about the wild card because that's where the real fun is in the rest of baseball. At this point in time, we have a 4-way tie. Well, technically, it's a 2-way tie. The Yankees are in. The Yankees are in. The Tigers are in. The Blue Jays are in. And either Houston or Seattle at this point. So let's take a look at the wild card. The Yankees, definitely in. Houston, definitely in. Seattle, definitely in. Boston, maybe. You never know. They are right now, in a dead even tie, as we talked about. So that's where they are. Now the Red Sox are at 83-70. Would be the next logical choice. However, Cleveland's only a game and a half back. So that whole week of wild card possibilities are really going to be fun to watch, and I think that plenty of good stuff. So if you're a baseball fan, and we know a lot of you are, and also a football fan, this is your week to wear the remote out. Okay, let's take a real quick look at the schedule of Major League Baseball. Today, there are no day games. Today, 6:40 in Cincinnati. Big game for Cincinnati, not much for Chicago. And it's going to be Imaga and Lodo pitching. Imaga for the Cubbies, and on the hill for the Red Sox. Reds, no Sox. It's Lodo. Athletics is at Pittsburgh. That is also a 6:40. A 6:40. Man, I don't know what's going on today, folks. I can hardly talk. A 6:40 time, and you've got Severino pitching for the Athletics. As of right now, we do not know who's throwing for the Buccos. I know that a lot of you enjoy this and want to know what happens. I would imagine that maybe a half an hour before game time, Pittsburgh will announce a pitcher. Okay. But it's Severino for the Athletics. Atlanta is in Detroit. That's also a 6:40 first pitch. Elder against the ageless Charlie Morton. Big series for the Yankees. They're in Baltimore. You got Warren pitching for the Yankees and Rogers going for Baltimore. Washington as the Mets. And right now, that's a to be determined for Washington. And Sprout is pitching for the Mets. I think he did. Yeah, there he is. How are you, my friend?
Doing good.
Good. I was just checking the pennant races before we got into college football. And the Red Sox are there hanging in.
They're there. Yep, they are there right now. To be honest with you, I'm fully out on the Red Sox playoff hopes this year.
Okay.
Like I'm just fully out. Man, you lose that series to the Athletics, and now you're going to Tampa.
Yeah.
To start a series in which you have your ace going, and then you just kind of don't know. You're going to get probably Connerly early in one of those games, and then probably a bullpen game in there somewhere as well.
Well, this is the last week for the Rays under their new ownership. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, under the old ownership, which is Stu Sternberg. Yeah. So, and it's the last time they'll play at Steinbrenner Field.
Yeah.
So, take that as you will. It could be a good thing for the Red Sox. Could be a bad thing for the Red Sox.
Yeah, but then the way I know the Red Sox needed to play it. Mm-hmm. They needed to play 500 baseball over the last 10, and Cleveland would have had to go 9-2. I think is the record in order to overtake them. I don't think they're going to play 500 baseball, and I think the Guardians are really hot right now.
Yeah, they are.
That are very true. I mean, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Athletics, right? And they walked off in the one that they won. It's not there's nothing of hope when you're going to Tampa, you're going to Toronto, and then you're welcoming the Tigers to the series
to finish you off. Yeah,
the Tigers are probably just going to be the finishing blow for us at that point because they're still going to be in a division race with Cleveland.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, and look at the Marlins, the Mariners, and the Astros. I mean, they're in a dead even tie. With a week to go. So
I will say if the Red Sox were to make the playoffs, I like the draw of I would prefer Houston to win that division and the Red Sox to draw Houston as opposed to draw Seattle.
Right.
For the first round.
Well, we will see. It's going to be a wild week, that's for sure. All right, speaking of wild weeks, we got college football started last night.
Mm-hmm.
And now we move into Saturday games. One real quick revisit. I was mentioning at the top that, I was surprised that Miami was able to hang in with Buffalo, and good for them. They showed the coach that, what, we realize things aren't good, but, at least we showed up and at least we've tried to play. So whatever, take that as you will.
Yeah, I told Sean last night. I said, "Man, that 11.5 number, that's really big for an NFL."
Well, yeah, you mentioned it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I said last night I was talking about. I said it's almost like they're begging you to take it. I said I kind of feel like the Dolphins
sucker bet.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Dolphins were going to cover because the way the Bills defense looked against Baltimore, it wasn't fantastic. And we talked about it yesterday, talking about how the Dolphins, the weapons haven't just disappeared.
Right.
So
they're still there.
Yeah, and that showed up, and they played well, but they still didn't. They haven't won against teams that are over 500 in Mike McDaniel's tenure. They've won I think they're 3-12 against teams that are over 500. So it's it's more of the same for Mike McDaniel's tenure there.
And I mean, tomorrow, um, their things start off on ABC at noon. Arkansas and Memphis. Now,
Mhm.
Tulane and South Florida have played some pretty stiff competition. Memphis, not so much. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Arkansas, I would be. I'm going to allow you to correct me if I'm wrong. Arkansas, at best, is the middle of the SEC pack. They're
Yeah.
not. They're not the higher ups at this point in time. That's not to say, meant to say that they couldn't come out and thrash Memphis. It's just it's an interesting matchup.
Yeah. No, they are definitely. I would say middle of the pack might be
Hmm.
generous in
Okay.
terms of what Arkansas is.
Hmm.
They're definitely towards the bottom tier of the SEC. I would say,
Hmm.
like if you're making a bottom tier, you maybe put them at the top of the bottom tier, but they're still kind
Right.
of bottom tier. But
Yeah.
Taylor Green is really good. Like
Hmm.
like bottom tier in the SEC is still good enough to go to Memphis and be 7.5 point favorites.
Right.
I expect nothing other than honestly Arkansas should probably win that football game by double digits because Taylor
Hmm.
Green is that good. Like he is that good.
Well, that's what you need, right?
Mhm.
Um, on the call, Joe Tessitore, Jesse Palmer tomorrow noon, ABC. Big noon on Fox. Texas Tech at Utah. That's a unique little situation there. Um, with on Fox, Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt on the call. We have two ranked teams, albeit one is 16, which is Utah, and 17 is Texas Tech.
Mhm.
We talked about how Texas Tech had spent a lot of money and they're looking for a return on it.
Mhm.
And we also talked about Kyle Whittingham and how he is very good at preparing Utah. I think Utah's going to rebound from a bad season last year.
Mhm.
It'll be interesting to see how they handle Texas Tech.
Yeah, I said this is kind of like a style game.
Hmm.
Just the way that I've described it because you've got Texas Tech that feels like they're completely built through the portal. Not to say that Utah hasn't used the portal. I'm pretty
Right.
sure Devon Dampier did not originate at Utah. Let me rephrase that. I know he didn't originate at Utah. Like he didn't go there as a
Right.
recruit. Um, but still, style wise, is you've got Kyle Whittingham's team and Kyle Whittingham's culture
Hmm.
versus a team that's built mostly through the portal, right? And
Hmm.
I always caution, like especially early in a season, I would always caution, like banking on or putting money on
Hmm.
these teams that are like entirely built through the portal. I think North Carolina was a really good example of that week one. But these teams that are like these collections of portal guys, and
Hmm.
they don't have the same basis out of the high school recruiting that they've built on. It's the same reason that, and this is getting a little ahead of it, but like Illinois and Indiana this weekend is kind of a similar circumstance as well.
Yeah. I don't think there's any question about it. The Let's go back and take a quick look at what else is going on. Maryland at Wisconsin. That's on NBC at noon. Paul Bergmeister and Yogi Roth on the call for that one. I don't know that we really need. Well, Maryland's undefeated, but you know, competition hasn't been particularly tough.
The the only reason I would tune into that game is kind of like get a little bit of a better gauge on what Alabama really looked like last weekend because like
Hmm.
people were ranting and raving about the way they looked against what people have deemed a really good Wisconsin defense. So
Right.
no, they're playing. They're Wisconsin's favored by 9.5
Hmm.
tomorrow.
They're playing at Camp Randall, which is
Yeah,
a wild place.
yeah, but if Maryland goes in there, and they hang. They
Hmm.
hang a good number on them, then maybe you're starting to look at it and go, okay, maybe we're reacting to this Alabama offense
Right.
and defense and really their overall performance over the last couple of weeks.
Well, and it also will shine a light on the Terrapins,
Mhm.
who normally aren't known for their football, but
Yeah.
good opportunity. The Qs, Syracuse at Clemson. That's the noon game on, excuse me, on ESPN. Bob Wischusen and Lewis Reddick on the call.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on Syracuse? Well, I think if Syracuse beats Clemson, I think that that will end Clemson's even hope that they're going to win going to win the ACC.
Yeah, that's what, like, Clemson's 1-2 right now. Only one of those losses in the ACC. So everything in terms of the ACC is still in front of them.
Right.
But also, if you're Clemson, and the way Dabo Swinney went, just like scorched earth. Look at what I've done here. You better win this game, and you better win it pretty convincingly. With how bad Syracuse has looked this year so far, I know they're 2-1, but it took them OT to beat UConn, and they got trounced by Tennessee.
Right. Well, it's going to be a wild one. These two teams have played each other for a number of years. And this is one of those games where you don't know what to think of, right? It's SMU at TCU. That's an ESPN2 12 p.m. game with, who's calling that? Oh, Roy Philpott and Sam Osho. I'm not overwhelmingly interested in commenting much about this game, but it just piqued my interest because these teams have played each other quite a few years, and it's kind of the who wins this basically is who wins the Dallas Metroplex.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game. I don't think people realize that. Battle for the Iron Skillet. But I picked TCU to win this game just outright. Like I really like Josh Hoover, and I feel like every time we've talked about TCU, I've brought up Sonny Dykes and how good of a coach that I really believe he is. And, like, people just kind of forgot. Like, they swept him under the rug after that national championship loss, and then they came out and they had a stinker against Colorado the following year to open it up. And it's just kind of people just they forgot about TCU entirely. And I will say this: if you're wondering about the power of brands in terms of like media and stuff like that, there's no reason, none whatsoever, that this game should be on ESPN2 and Syracuse and Clemson should be on ESPN, other than the fact that ESPN thinks more people just want to see Clemson play football.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of people just enjoy others' pain. So we'll see how that works out for I mean, if Syracuse loses, they're supposed to. If Clemson loses, it is not a good thing for Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
So South Florida surprisingly gets an opportunity to play a team that isn't ranked this week. They're home to South Carolina State. That's a noon game. It's on ESPN Plus. Charlie Kemp is on the call with Darius Walker. So there you go on that one. UAB travels to Rocky Top to play in Tennessee. UAB hasn't particularly shown much this year. Tennessee, they got to hang with Georgia last week, and they lost. But I would not want to be UAB coming into Knoxville this weekend.
Well, I think UAB would be in a little bit better spot than maybe they. Like, I think regardless of the outcome last week, and UAB is going to be in an okay spot just in terms of scheduling dynamic, just because like there's a hangover. Like, when you play that physical of a football game, like, it was like you turn, it was physical. It was physical the whole way through on both on the lines of scrimmage. Like, so there's going to be some form of a hangover, especially losing in the fashion that they did.
Right.
Like, it's honestly, part of the reason I'm glad that the bye week came when it did for Georgia, because if they had to turn around and immediately play Alabama after that game, I don't care that they're at home. That would be a tough ask all around. So, the line's 38.5. If I was picking that game, I'd probably take UAB in the points.
Let's move to the 3:00 hour and 3:30 hour. The game there is a game that has meant – we talked about rivalries. Well, here's a rivalry. Oregon and Oregon State. The game's being played in Oregon, at Oregon. 3 p.m. Big Ten Network, Jeff Loving and Jake Butt on the call. I don't see how Oregon State hangs with Oregon.
No, it's a 34.5 point spread for a reason. Like,
yeah, you think? Yeah,
Oregon State is 0-3. Like, they've got this revolving door of transfer quarterbacks that they've been cycling through. And, Malik Murphy wasn't the answer at Duke. So, Oregon State brought him in. Guess what? He's not the answer there either.
Nope.
He's just another story of a good talent gone wrong. They're
Okay.
0-3.
Yeah. Two ranked teams, Auburn, Oklahoma. That's ABC's 3:30 game.
Mm-hmm.
And let's move on to Michigan hosts on the road at Nebraska. That's 3:30 on CBS, and Nestler and Danielson on that call.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get Purdue and Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Purdue and Notre Dame. That's a Fox game. Eric Collins, Spencer Tillman. Um, I don't have that much hope for Purdue against Notre Dame.
No. Touching on the Auburn, Oklahoma, that's
Mhm.
Jackson Arnold's revenge game.
Mhm.
Going back to Oklahoma, where he was quarterback last year, and they pretty
Mhm.
much just gave up on him, even though he didn't really have any weapons to throw to all of last year. But at the same time, John Mateer is a really good quarterback.
Mhm.
Oklahoma has really good defense. I would pick Oklahoma.
Mhm.
Pick Oklahoma in the points. I haven't been high on Auburn all year. I didn't think they'd win at Baylor. They won at Baylor. Give them credit where it's due there, but I'm still not really a believer in this Auburn football team this year, and I think you're going to see a pretty good reason why on Saturday.
I left out and should have it's Fox's game. Eric Collins, Spencer Tillman. It's North Carolina at UCF, and normally I wouldn't say anything much about this game, but I don't know if this game is even on any major part of the networks. If Carolina doesn't have Bill Belichick coaching.
No, it isn't on it isn't on like Fox isn't picking this game up if Bill Belichick's not there.
No.
To be honest with you, I don't know what direction they would have gone. Like I don't know what Big Ten game they would have picked up because CBS obviously had first rights over
Right.
Michigan, Nebraska, and same goes for Peacock with Notre Dame's game.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's like UCF's favored by 7.5, and you can't. This is Scott Frost's return year. This isn't like the UCF of 2017 and 18.
Right.
They're not just rolling. It's more of a this is how bad North Carolina is right now. I don't care who's standing on the sideline.
Right. I'll tell you what. The game that I think might be fun to watch in the 3:30 window is Tulane and Ole Miss.
Yeah. Ole Miss is favored by 11.5, and their backup quarterback starting for them. Yeah.
They're giving a lot of credit to Lane. I'll tell you that if that's what's going on.
They are, and I think it's interesting they're giving that much credit to Lane. The way that defense, I mean, they couldn't stop Arkansas. When Taylor Green was in the football game, they scored 35. Like it was pure shootout. It was they were running up and down the field on each other. And Jake Retzloff is a really good quarterback. Tulane is just winning right now. Like they're not ranked. Should they be? Possibly, very possibly. Yeah. They could be ranked with what they've done. They've only played. I believe they've only played P4 opponents
so far.
They played Duke. I know they played Northwestern. They played South Alabama. So South Alabama wasn't a P4 opponent. South Alabama actually gave them the best game. They won by 2.
Right.
I'll be interested to see that one just because it's more of I'll be interested to see Ole Miss's defense because Ole Miss's defense shows up, then it's not going to be a football game. Because I believe in Lane Kiffin's ability to score. I remember hearing one time that Lane Kiffin loves taking he'll take as many quarterbacks as he can. If you come play quarterback at Ole Miss, he'll take. You can only start one, but he'll take as many as he can get on that roster.
Yep.
So I believe in their quarterback depth and who they're going to have going on Saturday.
Let's go to the early evening games, which I'm rolling my eyes down here to find something of interest. Boise State Air Force, that could be interesting if you just want to watch a good close game. That should be a pretty good one. Let's see.
Duke and NC State play at 4.
They do. Yeah.
NC State is actually 3-0. For some reason I felt like they had
you missed that. Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't. They're 3-0. They've played Wake, Virginia, and East Carolina. Duke's a good football team. I know they've
Mm-hmm.
got 2 losses next to their name. They're 2 tough losses. Those were 2 good teams they
Mm-hmm.
lost to in Tulane and Illinois, one being on the road at Tulane. And
Mm-hmm.
Darian Mensah, they paid $4 million for him for a reason. Like
Yep.
you're kind of waiting. Like at least me personally, I'm like waiting for Duke to win these games because it feels like they're a really good football team. They just haven't been in the right spots. Like against Illinois, they moved the ball really well, but they just turned it over a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Tulane was Tulane last week for them.
Tulane was Tulane, absolutely. I'm scrolling through the 7 o'clock hour, and the only game I can come up with that seems to, be interesting is Coastal. No, it's not, I'm just going to say that. What is it? Okay, it's UT Martin at Missouri State. No, it's Miami against Florida. That's 7:30 on ABC. Fowler and Herb Street.
Yeah. Miami and Florida. Miami's. I think people will probably see where Miami's at and be like, really, only 8.5. Like Florida's. I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep harping on it for as long as Billy Napier is going to be the head coach there. But they're supremely talented. Like they've got the talent and the positions. They're just a horribly coached football team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if DJ Lagway shows up and he's the DJ Lagway of the back half of last year, then Florida has every ounce of the talent, and if they come in with the correct game plan and mindset, then this is a game that Florida can win. Like it's not out of the realm of possibility for Florida to win this football game.
Right.
But they're not well coached. And DJ Lagway threw 5 picks last weekend. And they're back on the road again. I know it's only going to Miami. So you would expect Miami to win this football game, but also don't be surprised if you turn on the TV and you're like, whoa, this is like, Miami's up 3.
A nail biter, right?
Yeah. It's completely reasonable.
Mario Cristobal can recruit. We've established that.
Mm-hmm.
I think from my standpoint in this game, I think Miami not only will win the game, but why is it important? Well, it's important because if Miami can, beat Florida, then from a recruiting standpoint, Miami looks a hell of a lot better than Florida, who, oh, by the way, lost to USF and then, of course, LSU. So, you lose this game and you could basically lose a number of recruits.
Yeah. I think that's what is so interesting in this game. It's because it's like Billy and Mario both. They can both recruit their asses off.
Yeah,
that's
they're good at it.
Not an issue for either of them. And people have talked about the culture at Florida. It is like you walk in the building, you're like, man, like how's it? Like it feels like the right place, right? And then they just show up on game days and they're flat, and like they're unprepared and they're flat. And I think that's the biggest difference is you've got one coach who, like, both of these guys aren't like heralded as like these great game day coaches, right?
Well, definitely yes.
Yeah.
On that one.
One of them's calling plays for his football team, and the other one isn't. Billy's calling the plays on offense, and boy, do they look god awful on offense. It's like the perfect reflection of who they have at head coach. And meanwhile, you got Cristobal. Not that he's ever really been a play caller all that much, but as a former O-line guy. But he's got Shane Dawson, runs the offense, does a fantastic job. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't remember who their defensive coordinator is, but when you relinquish that control, especially in this era of college football.
Right.
It's those coaches kind of have to relinquish that control in order to be able to really effectively run the program. And I think that's honestly one of Billy's biggest problems right now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree.
Because he refuses to do it.
Right. And he's paying for it. One other game in the 7:30 window that I think might be entertaining. Stanford and Virginia. Stanford's playing better. Virginia is Virginia, but This might be the SET Bowl. I'm not quite sure, but it's on the ACC network with Wes Durham and Steve Abadozzi on the call. We'll see. It was I was just trying to figure out if I had to watch a game at 7:30, which one would it be? And I think I would tune in that game for a little while anyway, just to see how how they played out.
Yeah, one that you would definitely click through. It's going to be interesting. I think Stanford's an interesting team to watch this year because of
Mhm.
the experiment. Like they talk about the smarts. Well, they're running an experiment up there in Stanford right now.
Right,
Andrew Luck's the GM. Frank Reich is the head coach for one season. Like
right. Hmm.
Andrew Luck said, he's coming in to be a stopgap head coach. Those
Hmm.
are like the exact words.
Right.
I don't know if he used stopgap in his phrasing, but that was what he was said. Is
The gist of it all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, he's here for a year.
Hmm.
So they played well against Hawaii. They've played well so far. They beat Boston College last week. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, you're right.
That's where their win came from. So they played better football. Well, I take that back. They lost by 24 to BYU. So they played better football last week. But Virginia's a better football team. Virginia's at home.
Hmm.
And you can't overstate how much travel matters when it comes to collegiate athletics, especially.
A 9:30 start on Fox One. Dan Haley and Pedro Papadakis on the call. Um, this is an American team facing a Mountain West team. It's a 9:30 start, like you said, national TV on FS1. You know, these are two programs that are pretty much in the same boat at the moment. They are doing just enough to be relevant, but not enough to push them into that next level.
I think Colorado State's probably in for some trouble this weekend, to be honest with
Mhm.
you, because you look at the schedule. Well, UTSA is 1-2. Colorado State's 1-1. Why would you say that? Yeah, well, UTSA has played Texas A&M as one of their losses. The other
Mhm.
one was Texas State at home, which isn't as good. But Colorado State had a dogfight on their hands on
Mhm.
September 6th against North Colorado.
Mhm.
I can all but
That does
guarantee
not bode well for
no
the for.
one can name a single player on North Colorado.
I don't even know where it is, and I've
Yeah,
been all over Colorado.
I'm going to take a guess. It's somewhere in the north of Colorado.
Okay, there you go. I'll give you that
Yeah,
one.
that's the closest you're going to get to
Right.
nailing down where that university is.
Right.
So, yeah, no, they won by 4 against North Colorado.
Right.
You've got to play better than that.
Oh, absolutely. And 10:30 on CBS Sports Network, Alex DiBurio and Randy Cross are going to be in San Diego, and it's Cal and San Diego State.
Mhm.
Cal's gotten off to a pretty good start, and we'll see what happens with San Diego State. I haven't seen much in the way of San Diego State doing anything at this particular point in time.
Mhm.
But so I mean, California's got the depth. They win by how much? I have no idea, but I still think California's going to win that game.
I'm not to discredit San Diego State, but I was curious looking at Cal's like schedule
Uh-huh.
being in the ACC. This is a team where you may be like you might look up at the end of the year and go, whoa, like what are they doing here? Because they get the good draw in the ACC.
Right.
There's no Clemson, there's no FSU, and there's no Miami on that schedule.
Mhm.
Their hardest game is probably SMU or Louisville, one of the two.
Mhm.
They have to go to Louisville, so that may be their toughest game.
That could be it. It's funny. The ACC, I'm sorry, the Big 12 guys um, have ragged all over California. They just don't, they talk smack about Cal all the time. And you got to remember, I mean, we talked about this a while ago. California, is not has had some good football teams. We were talking about Colorado, California, and of course um, Stanford, and both of them had good football teams. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think that
Mhm.
they got a good draw here, and for lack of a better situation, you got to think that California's going to come away from San Diego with a win, and and maybe some momentum. I, they're not. To me, they'll be above a bowl, 6-6
Mhm.
record. I think they'll be closer to maybe 8 wins, maybe 9 if they get lucky.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like I'm looking at this schedule
Mm-hmm.
and like they go to BC, and I'm just kind of looking
Right.
at the numbers. BC is going to be a tough game. They've got a really good quarterback as well, because
Mm-hmm.
that's Cal's thing is like this year right now, their quarterback is going to be better than probably 95% of the teams that they're playing
Mm-hmm.
because Sug. I'm going to look up his name so I don't absolutely butcher it here because God knows I will.
Yeah.
But it's Jaron bouncing around. Jaron Kiawe Sagapulatele,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's been phenomenal this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like fantastic. He is every bit of that 5-star billing. He's thrown for 780 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 pick. Like he's been fantastic. You look at some of the throws that he makes,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes sense why he's a 5-star and why Cal is 3-0 right now.
Right.
Probably going to be 4-0 headed to Boston College.
Yep. Okay. So the late game, and when I mean the late game, I mean the late game at 11 p.m. on Saturday night. Michigan State travels to Los Angeles to take on USC, and that machine from USC has put points up like it was a pinball machine. So it'll be interesting to see how Michigan State rolls into the Coliseum on tomorrow night and takes on that USC team.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Fox. Jason Benedetti and RG3 on the call there.
Yeah, it's you have no reason not to pick USC in this football game. They're favored by 18.5. Michigan State goes to USC. They're playing late. Like this everything screams USC. Like this is a tailor-made win for USC against a Michigan State team that, although they're better this year than they were, they're still not fantastic yet. Like I think Jonathan Smith, given enough time, will get things
Mm-hmm.
going in the right direction. But it's year 2 and under Aiden Childs, and they beat Boston College by 2 points in overtime. Like they got the 2-point conversion, Boston College didn't. Like that's how they won that football game, and they gave up 24 to Youngstown State last weekend.
Yeah. Oops.
That's not good. When you're going to USC, that's
That's not good stuff. Absolutely. All right, let's do this. We'll flip over to the NFL. These are the 1 o'clock games on Fox.
I
Go ahead.
there's one we skipped over that I kind of wanted to touch
Oh,
on,
go ahead. Sure.
and that's Illinois and Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Because it's when I talked about it earlier, I said it's that style matchup again,
Mm-hmm.
because what Brett Bielema has been there for a few years, and he's built this thing the way that he wants to build this thing. Indiana, Kurt Signetti talks about all his winning and all he does and all that other stuff, but they're still a team that's built through the portal. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is year 2 for Kurt Signetti. They
Right.
they are a team that is fully built through the portal. Indiana gets the good side of the straw in the fact that they're at home. But I picked Illinois to win this football game. I've seen I know the spread started at 4.5 for Indiana, and now it's up to 6.5. So that probably means you're getting some sharp money in there to move things up. That probably believe in Indiana. I just don't. I think this is an Illinois football game through
Mm-hmm.
and through. And I've talked about before how there are springboard games. So
Mm-hmm.
these games that can just kind of like propel a team and give them that momentum moving forward in the season. If Illinois wants to do what they think they can do, if they want to
Mm-hmm.
earn that number 9 ranking next to their name,
Right.
this is a springboard game from them. Going on the road and beating a really good Indiana football team can
Mm-hmm.
propel you forward and where you're headed in this season.
Absolutely. Okay. Cincinnati at Minnesota. Jim Nantz, Tony Romo. That's the A team. For I'm not quite sure why Minnesota and Cincinnati draw the A team, but hey, what can you do, right? Um, that one, Minnesota got beat up, but last time out, Cincinnati's on their second string quarterback. So I
Minnesota is too.
yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's right. JJ got hurt. I don't know what to think about this game. I mean, it's the last man standing, I guess.
Yeah, I just could not stress people. Do not put money on this
No,
football.
God, no,
Please, God, don't put money on this football game.
no, 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 no.
Two backup quarterbacks in their first starts, really. I
Right,
mean, I
and
guess you could say
and
like,
they haven't played in a long time.
hey, Jake Browning got like the second half of that Jacksonville game.
Yeah,
Brought him back really last weekend.
yeah.
So I guess if like that's the angle you're taking, I could see why, but
Nah,
no,
this is
absolutely,
you want to stay away from this one.
absolutely not.
Pittsburgh takes on New England, Iron Eagle, I should say, and JJ Watt on the call up in Foxborough. Uh, this is a game that I honestly believe Pittsburgh needs. I know it's early in the season, but um, to get that monkey off their back from what happened last week, where they went brain dead on the kickoff. Um, this is one where I think Aaron Rodgers and that offense are getting closer to being what I think Coach Tomlin and his group want them to be. So we'll have to see. New England's played you know inconsistent, frankly. They just haven't been able to do things that you would think they might be able to do, but just when you think you're buying or drinking the Kool-Aid, they'll do something stupid to make it so you don't. You just sit back and go, "What were they thinking?"
Yeah, they gave up a big kick return late to Miami last week, and I
Mm-hmm.
think they scored twice on special teams last weekend. The Patriots did, but it's like they
That was that wild game, by the way. Didn't mean to interrupt, but that was a wild game where um, the Miami player scored a touchdown on a punt return, and then New England scored a touchdown on the
yeah, that's
on the
horrible.
kickoff.
I mean, so
Uh,
yeah,
so in the space of like 45 seconds, you had two touchdowns, and both of them were returns.
yeah. No, but the Steelers need this football game.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of the Patriots, like as much as I think they can be good this season, I
Mm-hmm.
think we'd be remiss if we didn't say like their best is ahead of them
Mm-hmm.
with the way that roster's built.
Mm-hmm.
The best isn't ahead of them. The best has to be right now for Pittsburgh.
Right.
With the way that roster's built, it's built on aging superstars, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
On the defense, you got Jalen Ramsey over there. And they brought in DK Metcalf, and he's a bit younger, but Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be his only year in a Steelers uniform,
Right.
right? So they need these wins
Mm-hmm.
when they're afforded them. Like the Patriots are an up and down football team. You better go get this win
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to need every last one you can have come season's end.
Well, yeah, and I think with Pittsburgh's roster, as you said, a lot of elder statesmen on that team.
Mm-hmm.
A win in New England, I think, if you're if you're Pittsburgh, and there's a whole lot of crazy going on there, you need something that's going to settle you. And I think that going to New England, coming back with a win, there's not as many questions about can Aaron Rodgers play. There's not a lot of questions about what the hell happened in Steelers defense. They have a opportunity in New England to right that wrong and get that ship back on course. But
It's
as
also
mhm,
it's important just because like you think about last week when Buffalo
mhm,
played the Jets, they
mhm,
held the Jets to 3 points. Like
mhm,
the Steelers played a shootout against the Jets.
right,
And then you go and you lose to the Seahawks. And if you were to lose to the Patriots, all of a sudden you're looking up at that Jets win going like, uh-oh. Like things
right,
are not good here. Now the schedule gets easier for them
yeah,
because as of right now, they go over to Dublin and they're playing
mhm,
the Vikings next
right,
week. Backup quarterback. Then they play the
mhm,
Browns. That speaks for itself. Then
mhm,
they play the Bengals, backup quarterback, right?
sure,
And so this stretch of 4 games is very important because after this 4, you go Packers, Colts, Chargers. Like
right.
stiffen up a little bit.
Well, in Baltimore twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they need these games because the back half of their schedule gets significantly more difficult than the front half of the schedule is because like on the back half you've got teams like the Lions and the
Mhm,
Bills. it, the Bengals aren't exactly going to strike fear into anybody right now, but their schedule gets more difficult. They've got to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, and they're supposed to win this week in New England.
Absolutely. Let me run through a couple quick games that I think there's better games to talk about. So I'm just going to run through it. Houston at Jacksonville. That's an important game for both teams with regard to their future in that Southern Division of the ACC. That is, of course, Spirigitas and Adam Marcelletta on that game. Indianapolis at Tennessee. Tom McCarthy, Ross Tucker at that game. Here's the game that I think might be fun to watch. Denver and the Chargers. It's a 4:30 game. Harlan and Trent Green on the call.
Yeah, it's an AFC West. Yeah, AFC West matchup. Don't know why I was struggling with that one. AFC West matchup. Yep. Chargers can start 3-0. Like that's really good. They've won games off of the arm of Justin Herbert, and that's for as long as they're for as long as they're going to win football games. That's how they're going to win them right now. The running backs the running back room kind of is what it is right now. You've got Najee Harris, who I'm surprised people employed him after his time in Pittsburgh. With you, he was not that impressive, and they've got a Marion Hampton who hasn't really found his stride in the NFL yet. I think he will, but he hasn't.
Right.
And so until those things happen, and I'm not sure they're gonna happen with the way the offensive line's constructed right now, to be honest with you. But that's a really good Denver defense, and they're playing at home now. Playing at home as the Chargers means a whole lot of nothing. So other than not having to get on the plane,
right?
That's all.
Basically, yes. Rams are in Philadelphia. That's the A game for Fox. 1:00. Joe Davis, Greg Olson on the call. I think this was a playoff game last year. I don't know. It's excuse me. We'll see what Sean McVay can dial up.
I picked the Rams in this game over the Eagles just because what the Eagles have shown me so far is not a whole lot. They've shown me their ability to win football games, right? They've won the games because they came in and they played they made the right plays and they played the winning brand of football. But then you look back at that Kansas City game. Kansas City probably left 13 points on the board just with their own mistakes. Credit to the Eagles, they didn't make the mistakes. And as long as you don't make the mistakes and you're making other people make mistakes, I think that's a really good brand of football to play. But it's also, eventually you're going to play a team that's not going to make the mistakes. And when they don't make the mistakes, they're going to beat you.
Well, that would be the Rams.
And I think that's the Rams, yeah. Because, you look back to that week 1 game against Dallas, man, they couldn't stop Dallas. Dallas was running up and down the field on them. Then they had a rain delay. Okay, now we can stop Dallas. And then you looked at the way this was alarming to me last week. The way that Jalen Carter played against Kansas City, he was just taking plays off. There's a clip of him last week in Kansas City where it looks like he's out for a Sunday stroll, not playing football on the defensive line, right? So I think when your best football player on defense looks like that, and your offenses look the way their offenses looked, you've won because you haven't made mistakes, and that's good. But I think the time of winning football games that way is going to come to an end this weekend against Los Angeles.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. After 2 real close games, the New York Jets come to Tampa Bay, and the Buccaneers. It'll be the first of a series of home games where they will be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Buccaneers. And the Jets will show up, and they'll be with a second-string quarterback. And we'll see. We'll see if Tampa Bay gets a hangover or if they motor on. I've been told that Tristan Wirth might be back. He's one of the 2 tackles that they lost. So that might be well. It's obviously good if he did, but Graham Barton, surprisingly, as a kid who did play tackle for a little while in college before they moved him over to center, has been pretty decent at that role. But I
Mhm.
don't think he wants that long term. He wants to go back to snapping a ball. He doesn't want to, take that play.
Yeah, that's where he's better at. And Tristan Wirfs, when he was healthy, was one of the best offensive tackles in football. Like
Mm-hmm.
getting him back, I think is good. And what I would say in terms of like if you're kind of iffy on whether or not Tristan Wirfs is going to go
Mm-hmm.
this week, I'd say save him. You got the
Sure.
Eagles coming to town next weekend. If you're like, hey, like I could use an extra week, give him
Right.
the extra week.
Right.
I don't think he's that important
No,
or
he's not that
important
integral to the team.
yeah, to a Bucks win this weekend against a Jets team that's on their backup.
Right. Vegas at Washington. Chris Myers, Mark Sheriff on that call. Um, we know that Jaden Daniels isn't going to play for
He's
Washington.
not.
Is not. And that means the backup quarterback, who is Marcus Mariota. Uh, Surprisingly, he ran Cliff Kingsbury's offense pretty well for in the preseason, which means nothing. But he's got skills, and I don't know. Vegas is on. I don't know what to think of Vegas, but I know Washington has the strength to be able to beat Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
even with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, and I think another plus for Washington here is the scheduling dynamic for Vegas. They played
Mm-hmm.
at 10 p.m. on Monday,
Right.
and then you're taking off and you're going all the way to the East Coast to play Washington. That's
Mm-hmm.
not exactly like a dream draw to play in the 1 o'clock window on Sunday.
No, no, no.
After
Not
you,
when you're coming from not when you're coming from Vegas.
yeah, after you finish up 1 a.m. Eastern on Monday,
Right.
or well at that point Tuesday,
Right.
at least for us on the East Coast.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it's a tough spot for Vegas, and just from that dynamic. And Marcus
Mm-hmm.
Mariota is a really good quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of backups that you want, he's a really good backup because he's been successful in the league,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's more of like he was successful, but he's not a guy that you really want starting all 17 games for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they'll get it done on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Late games on Fox. Dallas visits Chicago, and that's Burkhart and Brady on that one. Excuse me. Um, we'll see. Chicago has been underwhelming, and Dallas has scored a lot of points, but um, we don't know what Dallas is going to do.
Yeah.
At least I don't know what Dallas is going to do. Chicago, I mean, I'll be honest, I've been disappointed, but that I don't know about you, but I look at the NFL season in 4 game stints, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get out of the block, fine. Where are you 4 games in? When are you 8 games in? When are you 12 games in? In that particular situation. So while I'm disappointed with Chicago, I'm not necessarily writing them off just yet.
Yeah, they kind of have like I guess you could call it a softer window between the
Mhm.
Cowboys, Raiders,
Right.
Commanders, and Saints. The
Hmm.
Commanders probably the stiffest of those teams because
Hmm.
they have to go there. But they need and I feel like I've harped on this every time we've talked about the Bears. But Caleb Williams is still doing the same things that he was doing his rookie season that give them issues at the quarterback position. He's
Hmm.
not getting through his progressions. And when he scrambles, he doesn't make good decisions with the football when he scrambles. He's struggling with his deep ball accuracy. And all those things combined to yeah, maybe he's not throwing like a big interception or like a big pick six or something like that,
Hmm.
but he's doing a lot of little things. Like if it's first down and you're throwing the football and that scramble drill happens and you don't make it or you get dropped, and now you're in 2nd and 16 because you didn't get rid of the football. Like you wouldn't get rid of the football for some reason. Or so and you miss plays when you're not able to get through your progressions and you miss the explosives when you're struggling with your deep ball accuracy, all things that are happening
Hmm.
that eventually they come back to bite you. Maybe they don't beat you on one drive or something like that, or take you completely out of a football game. But over 60 minutes, eventually they do lose you games.
Here's Something from Bryce. Are you guys who interviewed the Mistress Madeline 7 to 8 years ago? I don't recall that I did. I can't speak for Matt, but I don't think we interviewed Mistress Madeline 7 to 8 years ago. Interesting comment. Um, so anyway, perhaps he's. I don't know. I have no idea. If you want to rephrase that and tell us what the hell you're talking about, more than happy to answer that question. Right now, not so much. Um, the so that puts us at the games. What was it? The okay, Arizona's at San Francisco. That might be a fun game to watch. Um, Adam Amin, Mark Sanchez on the call for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Cardinals kind of are in a good spot here.
Yeah, they're playing pretty good.
Yeah, they're not favored in this game, but like another backup quarterback for the 49ers here.
Yep.
Like Mac Jones is playing. He played pretty well against New Orleans last weekend. I think the Cardinals are going to be a little bit of a stiffer test. But like if the Cardinals want to win this division, then getting the 49ers while they're not at full strength, this is a game you need to win.
Right. Sunday nights, Kansas City travels to the Meadowlands to face the Giants. As we continue to see Kansas City, every Kansas City game seems to be a national game. And they play a Giants team that is better, but not great. I Kansas City can roll in there and take that game. But at the same token, if they do a couple of things right that they didn't do last week, the Giants might be the team that beats Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
I wouldn't hold out hope for that. But that's
I asked this last night. I'm curious to see how many Sunday night football games have been in teams that are winless. Like obviously, excluding week one because nobody has any record. But like 2-0-2 who put this in prime time? Like who? I get that it's the Chiefs. Nobody's dying to see the New York Giants in prime time. Like I'm not dying to see Russell Wilson play a primetime football game. And aside from the Giants aspect, I think everybody's kind of tired of seeing Kansas City in primetime. Because I mean, dear God, they've been shoved down our throats for the better
America's
part of 5 years. Yeah, I think everybody in America is sick and tired of seeing the Kansas City Chiefs, unless you are actively a Kansas City Chiefs fan or you love Taylor Swift. Those are about the only two things that somebody's like,
the only reason. Yeah,
I love watching Kansas City in primetime. Great, get them off the TV for the rest of America, please.
Right.
And I do this one aside as well. I don't know what was going on in that Kansas City locker room or who thought it was a good idea to wear free 4 shirts in reference to Rashee Rice. What he did, he deserves every bit of that suspension, and honestly, probably then some. Like, it feels like it's brain dead and absent-minded to have done something like that. And then Andy Reid gets on. I think it was probably his coach's show or something following the game, and he's like, "Well, man, they just really love him. I don't care how much they love him. What were you thinking? If I was the Hunt family, I would be appalled, like so incredibly frustrated at that brain dead show that they put on Sunday against Philadelphia. Why would you wear those shirts? It's terrible. I mean, to be honest with you, he probably deserves more than what he got.
Right.
I think he got off pretty easy considering what he did.
100%. I mean, it is what it is. Just for interest sake, the NFL and the deal with flexing, flexing can't start until the 8th game of the season.
Yeah.
So this is something that a schedule maker begin before anybody touched a football decided would be a great Thursday night game. And to that programming executive, I'm sorry. It's time to go. It just, I mean, we looked at a bunch of games earlier that would have been very entertaining in this window. Kansas City and the Jets, not so much.
Who looked at the? I would be very curious to talk to that person as to who looked at the Giants. Like Chiefs aside, who looked at the Giants preseason and was like, "Man, this is going to be great to see in Week 3. I can't wait to see Russell Wilson toss the pigskin around on Sunday night."
Let me just throw one thing in here about my brother in the broadcast industry. Anything that has an NY in front of it, they believe is
Yeah,
worth being involved with.
yeah,
I can't figure out why that the fixation with the Jets and the Giants, especially when they're not playing well, um, gets you. I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, New York is the toughest um, market with regard to um, figuring out what the ratings are. So
mhm,
we don't even know if the Giants rate well in New York. Okay, we know Kansas City, as you said, people. No shade against Andy Reid and the boys. It's just you get tired of seeing them. It's overexposure.
yeah,
So Monday night should be a fun one on ABC and ESPN.
yeah,
As we wrap this one up, Detroit visits Charm City and plays at M&T Bank Stadium. And if these two teams are at full strength, um, you know, that could have been a Super Bowl a year ago or 2 years ago.
yeah, yeah. Two really good teams. All of a sudden, after what the Lions did last week, everybody seemed to forget that Dan Campbell lost both of his coordinators. Like his
Right.
offense looked fine against his former offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ravens defense for everything that they've done well so far, they've also had like a really bad half of football against Buffalo and shown that, hey, we're susceptible on this side of the football. I think it's going to be a really good game on Monday night. I'd be, talking about those executives. If I'm an ESPN executive seeing that we got that on Monday Night Football, I'm jumping up and down
Mm-hmm.
in excitement. One and two 1-1 teams, but the 1-1, the records don't matter in this one. Like the brands in this one are good enough to where you don't care about, the fact that they both lost a football game. Who cares?
Right.
They lost football games to good teams as well.
That's a good point. All right, so that's our schedule for this weekend in college and pro football, and I think when we return next week, two things that we're going to be, well, three things we're going to be focused on: college and pro football, the Ryder Cup, and the last week of the Major League Baseball season as to
Yep.
where we're going to go in that period of time. Who's going to be there at the end? And interesting. And by the way, we talked a lot about the what was going on in the wild card race in the American League. Uh, they're equally tight in the National League with regard to that last third, the third spot. So we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of teams still in the hunt for
Mhm.
a playoff berth, and usually that attracts a good crowd. So we'll see how that plays out. And there's some good college football next week, and some pro football next week. So we have a whole bunch of fun stuff to talk about next week. But this week is over. And Matt, any final thoughts before we get out of town?
No, it's and that next week's really the like not to discredit what's happening this week.
Right.
It's going to be a really good weekend of football. You got baseball on it. That's
Mm-hmm.
it's still the final stretch for that.
Sure.
But man, next week being the last week of the regular season for baseball, the
Mm-hmm.
Ryder Cup, and at least for me personally, Alabama coming to Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
it's massive week for me next week personally.
Well, that's good. I mean, when you can pick out three things that you want and they all happen to be on the same weekend, that's not a
Oh,
bad situation. It
yeah,
gives you a chance to wear out batteries in your remote.
yeah.
So
They
that's
they get plenty of work on a regular weekend.
yeah.
Next week they're going to be
The,
working
you
overtime.
might want to go out and get those extra batteries now
Mhm.
while we're thinking about it. So there you go. Well, look, guys, we've had a lot of fun as always. Thanks, of course, to Matt for coming in and giving us his perspective and his insight. And we will be back next week, and y'all have a good weekend. And let's hope your team wins. Okay, take care, guys. See ya.